Thank you.
Thank you, Shirley.
Thank you. Hi. So thank you. First of all, thank you so much, Seemant. My name is Shirley. Just like Seemant said, I've kind of been doing D3 for, I guess, almost maybe 3.5, 4 years now. And so I'm really excited to be here tonight to give kind of an interactive introduction to D3. And I hope you enjoy it, learn something from it. And yeah, so before I start, can I get a show of hands of how many people have used D3? Awesome. And how many of you guys are like completely new, have not even looked at the code? Also awesome. All right, so okay, so I'll start. So this introduction was originally developed for a workshop at my company, Lumio, and we're a enterprise software security startup down in Sunnyvale, and we actually, as part of our core product, have a very big data visualization component, an interactive component. So yeah, I wanted to give a shout out for that because they let me develop this. So before I start going into the details of how D3 works, I kind of want to give you kind of a sampling of some of my most favorite visualizations on the web. So to start with, this is Upshots, how the reception reshaped the economy. So how the reception since the 2008 recession. And each of these lines are different industries. And as you can see, the x-axis is from industries that have typically lower wages to higher wages. And industries, and then the y-axis is the number of jobs created since the recession. So first of all, the thing I love the most about this is it's 255 lines, and it's presented in such a way that you can kind of immediately see some of the interesting trends. Like, for example, since 2008, nail salons have actually like rebounded really well. But then down here, the real estate economy is still kind of struggling. I mean, the industry is kind of still struggling. And the thing that I was the most impressed by, like that I was absolutely in love with, is the fact that if you hover over one of these lines, it brings up this kind of an overview, and you can actually explore like exactly how many jobs have been created, the average salary for them, etc. And then it kind of gives you this interactive story and highlights different parts of the economy as you go through. So very, very unique, amazing use of presumably D3 and data visualization. So the second one is, I think actually probably a lot of people have probably seen this. It's Conditional Probability by Victor Powell, if it loads. Oh, there we go. So how many of you guys have seen this? Yeah, awesome. Okay, so it's another one of the examples I really like for use of D3, because the previous one was kind of like journalism and storytelling, whereas this one is kind of a visual explanation of a concept that we might typically find difficult to understand. And in fact, one of my friends was like, wow, this visualization just taught me a concept that my professor, like taught me in 5 minutes what my professor taught us in like 5 lectures. So, it's kind of the probability of B happening given A, and then as you kind of toggle around with these sliders, so the purple is what you want to pay attention to, and as you toggle both, it's kind of like an intuitive way of, it's kind of like an intuitive way of understanding conditional probability. So another one of my absolute favorites, this is by Jerome. How many of you guys have seen this one? Okay, awesome, because this is like, so this is events in the Game of Thrones. And I find it personally really hilarious, but each of these nodes are a character in the book. And the size of the node is how many times they appear in that chapter. The color of the nodes is from lightest to darkest about how dead they are. And the links between these nodes is a kill. And a red link means a fresh kill, so a kill that happened in that chapter. And a gray link means like a past kill. So humorous, take on the book aside, the thing that I love the most about this is his use of updates with D3. So I just press play, and you can see. You can see characters coming in and out. You can see characters, getting killed and killing each other. But yeah, it's all animated so that you can kind of see the progression of the story. And then the last one is also one of my favorites, and it's actually by Ken, who's who's in the audience right now. Thank you so much for bringing this amazing piece of joy into the world. It's basically just a stick figure dancing Gangnam Style, and it's done with D3. So, when I found this, I was like, whoever this genius is absolutely amazing. Yeah, so I wanted to show you kind of all of those examples to show you how absolutely amazing of a variety of things that D3 can do. D3 as a library, it's not just a charting library. If what you're looking for is an easy way to do a bar chart or a pie chart or a standard set of visualizations, there's a lot of really great libraries out there for that. What D3 is really, really good for is it's a tool to help us manipulate the DOM to display the data in a way that we want. And so that set of examples I showed, I hope it kind of showed how many creative things that you could do with this library. So as with any tool, we do the heavy lifting and not vice versa. So what I mean by this is how we use this tool is the very basic first thing is that we can use it to grab something on the screen. So for example, this box that I will pretend is a div, it is a div. The way that I grab this is with the d3.select. So d3.select div. If I want to grab all of them, it's d3.select all div. And underneath the hood, what that looks like, oh, actually, apparently I don't have that. OK, so that's how you grab something with D3. So the next thing that you can do with D3 is you can manipulate the things that you just grabbed. So let's say, for example, I grab that first div box, and then I just want to say, give it the text Illumio. So this is what the code looks like. d3.selectDiv.text, so we chain .text Illumio. I run code, and it says Illumio. If I want to do it for all three of them, I say select all div.text Illumio. I run code, and does it for all three of them. So underneath the hood, what that actually looks like is D3 is actually taking the DOM elements that we just selected and putting it into an array. So you can see this is the first, so you can see, so these are the three div elements that we just grabbed. And it wraps it around, and it has some functions for manipulating them, for iterating through them. So when I did d3.select all and then .text Illumio, what was happening under the hood was D3 said, all right, these are the three DOM elements that I know about. let me iterate through them and apply the text to all 3 of them. So we can also do something like, append a header, and maybe give the text or give the header some text. And so what that looks like is select all the div, append a header, and then give it text Illumio, run code, and that's what that looks like. So underneath the hood, again, it's just an array of all the header elements. And then it just iterated through and applied the text to them. So far, like pretty straightforward. So the next concept is, I think, one of the core concepts within D3, and it's called data binding. So what you can do with data binding is, again, we select. So let's say I select, and I say that I have this set of data. And it is 1, 2, 3. Let's say it's an array of 3 integers. So the first thing that I'm going to show you is I selected the div, and then I said I have a datum 1, 2, 3. I run code, and you can see it binds 1, 2, 3 to that first div element. And underneath the hood, what that looks like is this div element that I selected, D3 actually went and put an attribute for us that's data, and then you can kind of inspect here, like this is the data that got bound, the array of integers 1, 2, 3. So similarly, if I select all 3 of them, what should happen is, did you guys see what happened just now? So whereas before the array of 1, 2, 3 was bound to that first element because I only had that one element, now it's all 3 of those integers got bound to, so it did like a mapping. So the first first integer got mapped to the first element, and second to the second, et cetera, et cetera. And again, under the hood, you can see, so right here, right there, the data is now just that one string of 1. For the second one, it's a string of 2. And for the third one, it's a string of 3. So you might be like, all right, that's cool. Like, what am I going to do with this piece of information? So the really powerful thing about D3 is that now that I have this data bound, let's say I append that header again. And then let's say that for each of those headers, I want to give it text. But this time around, instead of giving it the text of Illumio, I want to give it the text of the data that's bound to that element. So I'm going to run this code right now. So you can see the difference is I say append h4, and here is the main difference. So dot text, instead of string Illumio, I say function pass me d, the data that's bound to the element, and then return d. And as soon as I run code, this is what happens. So D3 is basically looking at, under the hood, looking at that data attribute, and then it's feeding it to you, and you can do whatever you want to it. I can actually be like, return string, this is the data, and then D, and it will say this is the data 1, this is the data 2, et cetera, et cetera. So actually, any guesses on what's going to happen here? So what's going to happen is this. So now you can see the data got rebound here. So the first element now has data that's an array of 1, 2, 3. These still stay the same. Or no, these actually, you can see they don't have data bound to it anymore. And then I appended header with text 1, 2, 3. So that's the first core concept of D3, so data binding. So up until this point, what I've been showing you is these DOM elements already exist, or these div elements already exist in the DOM. And then we bound data to it, or we manipulated it in some way. But what's truly really powerful about D3, and the reason why it's called data-driven documents is because the concept behind D3 is that we have a set of data, and given that data, we want to be drawing things on the screen with it. So instead of thinking of it as like, there's a bunch of things on the, bunch of DOM elements on the screen, and we bind data and we do whatever to it, the way that we want to think about it is we have this data, and we can grab things that don't yet exist. This is to me, the most trippy part about D3. This is the part that when I first started out and I didn't understand what the D3 code was doing, and when that insight came through, I was like, whoa, mind blown. So hopefully I can mind blow you. Sorry, okay. So the first thing we do is we tell D3 what we want to draw. So let's say in this case we want to draw div elements again. And then now we say, we tell D3 what the data is. So let's again just go with the simple 1, 2, 3. So this is something that we've seen already, right? Select all the div, data 1, 2, 3. Except you might be like, wait, I have no div elements on the screen. How am I selecting it? So here's the magic part. This command of enter append. So what's going to happen under the hood is D3 is going to be, so this, when D3 calculates this dot data, when it runs that dot data function, D3 is going to be like, OK, how many data elements do I have? 3. How many div elements do I have in the DOM? 0. So D3 is going to be like, OK, so there's 3 extra data elements. So I need to insert three div elements for these 3 data elements. So that's what data returns. So yeah, and then we say we want to be entering. So we want to be inserting these things in, and then we say the thing that we want to be inserting into the DOM, appending into the DOM, is divs. Thumbs up, thumbs down? Yeah, pretty OK? All right. Run code, magic, ta-da! We have 3 divs on the screen. So I'm going to do, so let's say there's these 3 elements on the screen. And then let's say I'm going to change the data. And this time the data, I'm going to be like 1 and cat and dog and banana and apple. And then just making things up to keep it interesting. And then this time, instead of just entering and appending some div, let's say I also want to write some text in there. So enter append.text. And what usually happens when I ask, hey, what do you think will happen when I say run code? People will be like, oh, there will be now 5 div elements, and the first one is going to say 1, the second one is going to say cat, dog, banana, apple, etc. Because obviously we've told it to render these texts. We told it .text, return data, and that's actually not what happens. And this is really interesting, and I kind of want to emphasize this point. So if I run code, this is what just happened. This is very interesting. So all of the data that's bound, that got updated to the newest data. Because I gave it I bound the data again. But you notice the .text, the text only happened for the last 2, the 2 that just got entered. So what D3 is doing is right here with the .append and the .enter, D3 is saying, OK, this time around, I have 3 elements on the screen. Actually, sorry, I have 5 data elements, and I have 3 elements on the screen. So simple math tells me that I need to insert 2 more data elements. So return those 2 more data elements. Simple math tells me that there's 2 more DOM elements, so this is data, this is DOM. So 2 more DOM elements I need to insert. So return those 2 DOM elements for me so that I can manipulate them. So right here at .enter, it returned, so this .data went and like bound the new data to everything. This .enter now only returned the last 2, and then appended it as div, and then right here updated the text for them. This is very interesting. So on the flip side, you can imagine if you can enter something, if you can create something, you can also get rid of things that you no longer need. So I'm going to start again with let's say this time I want list elements. And the data is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 again. And I've entered, appended, I've given it text, and ta-da, this is what we already expect. So now let's say that the new data set is cat, dog, and banana. Now if I say exit remove, .exit.remove, I run code, you can see the text remains the same because when D3 says .exit, it only returns the 2 extraneous DOM elements that needs to be removed, because now it's saying, OK, there's 5 DOM elements, 3 data elements, and the extraneous one is the 2 DOM elements, so those need to be removed. So it returns those and removes those, and it updates the data, but it doesn't affect the text that's already there. Yeah, maybe? Cool, thanks. So now let's put them all together. So this concept, I think it's called enter exit. I always call it enter update exit pattern. So let's put them all together. So let's say you start out with the data set. And the data set is just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the first state, you get this. And then you get maybe you're getting real-time data. And the next set of data happens to be 4, 2, 5, 6, 5, or something. So that means we have to, first of all, we have to update the ones. So update the code is pretty straightforward. You just say bind the data again, so update the data that's bound, and then just run the .text. So I run code. That did update. Yes, that did update. OK. And then I just say, and then remove anything extraneous. So it's this one. This last one is extraneous. Remove. I run code. I remove. And that's how you move from one set of data to the next. So that was it. That was the 2 big, at least to me, the 2 big concepts of D3. And I found that just having that 2 things down pat, having the understanding of that down pat, the rest of the D3 library actually makes a lot of sense. So a lot of people say that D3 has this initial learning curve, and then after that, it's pretty smooth sailing. To me, that was just those 2 concepts. And as soon as I grasped those 2 concepts, the rest of that library was piece of cake. I mean, obviously, it's a big library, so I haven't explored every single part of that library. But the parts that I've explored was it made a lot of really good sense. So the last thing within these slides that I want to show you is you've noticed that all of the examples I gave were div elements and list elements, and that does not that does not make a good visualization. Those things won't, draw like pretty charts for you. What we use a lot is SVG. So with SVG, some of the most common things that you can do is, draw a circle, draw rectangles, draw lines, and give text. So what I'm going to show right now, I'm going to live code and hope things don't break. So the first thing I want to show you is, let's see. OK, so here's the data, and I have this button that, I say update, and it updates the data. So I kind of want to show you the concept of first, just drawing the bar chart, because you can see that there's absolutely no bar chart here right now. And I'm going to be drawing a bar chart. There we go. Yeah, I'm going to be drawing a bar chart. There's absolutely no bar chart right now. And I want to show you the concept of first drawing the bar chart with that data, and then on every update of smoothly transitioning between them. Because between updates, you could just trash everything and then redraw. But I kind of want to show you how to apply the enter, update, exit pattern. So let's first just draw the bar chart. So I have defined here, I have SVG kind of defined here. So I say d3.select SVG, and then just append a group element. So G is a group element, so SVG group element. And then here I say, draw a bunch of rectangles for me. So rectangle G.select all select all rectangle elements that don't yet exist. Data bind the data, which is, there we go. It's in a variable called data. And then the enter pattern, .enter, .append, rectangle. So now, if I inspect element, presumably I will see however many number of rectangles there existing. So yeah, there we go. Ta-da, magic. Things now exist. That's 8 of them. So just by that command. Now, obviously, nobody wants, invisible rectangles. So let's give it some attributes. So the first attribute I want to give it is x, an x position. So that might just be something like, previously I showed you that I can get passed in the data that's bound to that element. The second thing that can be passed in is the index. So I kind of showed you that under the hood, D3 is looping through all of the DOM elements. So I can also get passed in the index of the DOM element that it's looping through currently. So I say, return to me, the x position. I want it to be the index times the width of these bars, which I've defined as 20. And the y, I want it to be, so this is kind of the interesting part. So I think x is very intuitive. X just goes from 0 to it increases that way. Y goes from the top left and increases going down. So if I just, for example, right now say return d, by 3 I mean d, and then I say width is, I've defined width as 20, and then outer height, return, wait, actually, hold on. By this I mean the y should be the height, and function d, return each of these data elements as the height for me. Or perhaps I should just tell you to be 0. Ah, there we go. Is upside down. because 0 is up there, and then things increase going down. So what I want to be doing is say function d return the height. So I want my the starting point of my y to be the height minus well, the 500 minus the data. There we go. It's right side up. Yay! And then just to make it not so boring that it's just black, I'm going to pass in this function called color. So yeah. So there you go. Bar charts in, what is that, 7 lines. And that's the amazing, beautiful thing about D3. It just, once you understand the black magic, it's very little code to get something onto the screen. So you say that's well and good, but once I update, nothing is happening. You promised to show me things like transitioning between states. So now let's do that whole enter, update, exit thing. So we start out saying, okay, select all the rectangles again. And bind the data again. This time just this. And then, first of all, let me enter all new rectangles. So rect is equal to rect.enter.append. I'm gonna tell it to stop updating. And then exit all the new, or exit rectangles that are no longer needed. .exit.remove. And then update the attributes on all the bars that still remain. And what that looks like is just this. The same set of, oops. So I just say attribute is, x is, actually I could just copy and paste that in here. There we go. And if the demo gods are with me, this should now work. Okay, so I update. This does not work. Perhaps I should not have just copy and pasted you. All right, let me actually type things out. So attribute x position, I want it to be di return return I times width. All right, make sure that that works. Update. Huh. Oh, yes, that makes sense. I need to pass in this line, I need to pass in that I want to append a rectangle. That would be very important to tell it, or else it doesn't know what to append. So now that should work. And now, so I shouldn't be setting, there we go. Okay, update. Awesome, okay. Now,
why can't you set the rectangle equal to the rectangle?
yes, thank you for asking the question. So the reason is remember how I said that each of these functions returns like a D3 selection, but like a little bit different? I might not have said that, but like a little bit different depending on the function. So this right here told me, gave me the D3 selection along with the information of the set of things that need to be entered, and then the set of things that need to be exited. And then so right here, I was able to use that to say, OK, give me all of the things that should be entered and append them. But if I did this, remember how I was saying that enter only gives you back the things that need to be entered? So then if I set that to rectangle and tried to use it down here, now it's trying to exit the things out of the things that should be entered, which D3 is like, no, that you can't do that. You can't exit things out of like the set of things that should be entered. So that's why do not set rectangle equal to what should be entered and try to use it to remove things. So yeah, not rect is equal to down here. Copy and paste this. All right, fingers crossed. Update. Yay! So yeah, there we go. You can go full screen. Now, as we update based on the data, the bar charts update. So you can see like there are new things coming in. When there are new things coming in, there's new rectangles that are created. When there's less and things are being removed, and then the heights are being adjusted. So to make that actually like more clear, I'm going to put in a transition. So another one of the things that I think is really cool about D3 is the transitions and animations that kind of just come in like fully baked, and you just say, OK, the selection, the D3 selection dot transition, give it the duration that you want. Let's say 500 milliseconds. And now, if I say update, it does the animations.
How is the color generated?
Oh, the color is generated. Thank you. So the color is generated right here. So using this, I guess, like a utility function called d3.scale.category20. And all that does is like give you a set of 20 colors, and then you basically just give it the value, and then it like maps to a color, and then that's how it's a D3 utility function. It's very helpful.
The guy who wrote D3 just chose those because they were colors that contrasted well and looked well together on a graph. So this category 10,
Yeah.
category 20, that's how he chose those colors.
OK, I didn't know the origin and story, but I thought there was some sort of thought behind them. But yeah, there's category 10, category 20, 20A, B, and C, I think. And then I think in like version 4, he's coming out with like a whole like plugin for D3 colors, which is really cool. Yeah. So that's my live demo. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, but isn't that really cool? Like, it's just this is all it took. This is all it took to like update and animate all of these things coming in and out. So as kind of like a wrap up, I was kind of thinking about like resources going forward. One of the biggest resources is obviously the D3 website itself with all of the tutorials. I think it's always really great, like probably very familiar with blocks, to see like, look at a visualization, and there's like the corresponding code. What I used just now to do the live coding, this is blockbuilder by the awesome Ian, who's I think back there, but I can't really see. And he has this new functionality called search, which I am absolutely in love with. So with this, you can just be like, I don't know, like live. And then that searches presumably by that word. And then you can actually, I think the coolest part about this is that you can actually search by the API function. So like for example, today for work, I needed to use a Sankey diagram. And I've never used a Sankey diagram before. So I was like, I want examples of Sankey. And apparently Sankey doesn't have the words live in them anywhere. So then I searched it up, and then I chose one of these examples, and then I took a look at the code, played around with it, because it's like built into blockbuilder, and so I like played around with like, you know, all of these attributes, and then just learned on the fly how to code a Sankey diagram. So blockbuilder, definitely awesome. You probably know this already, awesome resource. And as you've gone through more tutorials and like more examples and get more familiar with how D3 works, I think the last one that I want to emphasize is this article by Mike Bostock, who's one of the like main creators of D3, and it's called How Selections Work. So I touched a little bit about, like I went a little bit into D3 selections earlier, and I kind of showed you what they look like under the hood, and this goes into a lot of detail about how they're implemented. So I think, I believe in my D3 journey, I felt confident after I read this. I finally felt confident about it, about D3 after I read this article. So highly recommend it. And I'm just gonna end on this again. Yeah, so thank you very much. Thank you for coming. And do you have any questions? Yeah?
Show us one of your projects.
Oh, yeah. So this is one of my latest that I've published. I don't know if you've seen it. It's called Tweety. It uses D3 as well as React and Canvas. And it's basically all I did. So this is Psy. So I took the profile picture of, you know, a bunch of these celebrities. So I have like Obama, I have Jimmy Fallon, I have The Onion, Bruno Mars, etc. Just Twitter accounts that I thought might be interesting. I took their profile pictures, and then I took their latest about, oops, what did I do? Okay. I took the latest about like 2,000, 3,000 tweets of theirs, and then I turned their profile picture into dots, and then mapped each dot, or mapped a tweet to each dot. So yeah, it's really fun to actually just like look through it and kind of, so the most fun I have is when I sort it by favorites, and then I kind of look at, you know, like what the top favorite tweet was. And then you can also kind of see like, oh, if you are wondering about, like, these are their top hashtags. So I can be like, I want to kind of explore all of the tweets with this hashtag. And then you can see like, oh, this is the most favorited tweet that has hashtag GOP debate. And then I can just do the same in mentions. I think my favorite instance is when I was showing this to like a class. And I believe they asked to see NASA, which is, it was a high school senior class, so this is like very commendable. They like, we're like, we want to see NASA. You know, it draws beautifully. Sorry, what?
Does it look like actual profile photos and not just logos?
Yeah, well, wait, the fact that they're dots, or?
No, because if it's like a photo of a person and their background, because these are just like
Oh, yeah.
the logo, so that's like easy to look at with dots.
Yeah, actually, some of the pictures turn out really well too. So for example, like things with high contrast, actually, it's things with high contrast turn out better. So my favorite is like definitely, I mean, this is not, yeah, so Disney, like Mickey Mouse turned out really well. So not as much, I guess, like logo versus picture as the high contrast turned out really well. Yeah, some of them, like, I was really sad about this because I was really excited about Samuel L. Jackson, and he didn't turn out as well. But like, there's some others, yeah, there's some that turned out like, yeah, the more like, you know, solid ones definitely turned out better, like this one. But my favorite was NASA, and when I favorited it, or like when I sorted it by favorites, their top tweet was that One Direction shot their music video at NASA, and it has 54,000 favorites. So yeah, so this is one of my latest side projects, and I'm really excited about this because I'm currently working on a backend for it. So you can see that right now it's just like a gallery, and you can only choose from this. So I'm working on a backend so that anybody with a Twitter account can sign in and make their own and play with their own Twitter information. So that's been my latest side project. Another one, just one more that I really like showing to people that I'm probably never gonna, that people are like, I've like probably shown this at like 3 different meetups, and through the course of like 2 years. But do people remember the simple HTTP thing server off the top of their head? Python -m, thank you. That should be it, right? Awesome. So, so this is one of my side projects that have been in development for the last 2 years. And I'm not sure when I'm going to show it to the world. I mean, like actually publish it somewhere, because it's just local right now. But it is, and I apologize if there's suddenly noise. Oh, there isn't. Awesome. Okay, so it's this visualization is a YouTube channel called Wonfu Productions, who I've been a huge fangirl of since 2006, and I follow their videos. And then one day I was like, wow, I'm noticing that they're doing a lot of collaboration with like other YouTube channels. I wonder what the shape of their collaborations look like. So then I went and scraped their data, and then each of these lines represent a YouTube channel, and then each of these dots represent a video that they published. And I have to be really careful because some of the like video titles are really, really awkward. And I've like hovered over them in like a talk, and like one of them said like, my father is not a DILF, and then that was really, really awkward. But so you can see like when a YouTube channel goes and collaborates with another YouTube channel, that's denoted by this kind of like that bend in a line that like kind of, you know, they hop over to this YouTube channel. And then, so this is kind of like this graph, this like set of lines up there is kind of my window into that time. So this is 2008. And so it's kind of like a snapshot in time. Whereas you can see down here, they just got connected. Down here is like a summary over time. So this is 2008, and you can see like the collaborations happen once in a while. And then, you know, and then suddenly, bam, like right here. And that's one of the web series that they did, and and they have this web series with a bunch of their friends. And then what I found really interesting is like, you know, beforehand they've had like some collaborations, and then as soon as this happened, you can see like they really started, like not just them, but like the people that they collaborated with, they started collaborating with each other too. So like whereas between this and this, that was really, really cool to see. So, and this is a mini map on the side, and you can see like this is like 2014, all of them have collaborated, or like they've all collaborated with each other in some form, some more than others. So this is one of my other side projects, and I have like a bunch of others that I will not show you because there's a lot of them. But yeah, thank you for asking that question. Yeah. So this is what you can do with D3. Yeah. There was a question back there, I think.
Yeah, so some of these toolkits, I'm not completely familiar with things like Flux, but they do a lot of DOM manipulation and updating. And now you have, at least from what you're saying, this toolkit is basically doing a lot of bookkeeping as well underneath the covers. It's basically keeping a list and keeping divs around in case they need it, and then doing these transitions.
Yeah.
So during the time when you're doing the transitions, I would imagine you're vulnerable because a toolkit could probably pull the rug out from under you. So I don't have any familiarity, but I'm dubious or worried.
That's actually a really awesome question, because you're essentially saying like, maybe not Flux, but like something like React that needs access to the DOM, that likes, like they have their whole virtual tree, like virtual DOM thing that keeps track of, keeps track of like the DOM hierarchy, the DOM tree structure, and then they like want things a specific way, and then they need access to the DOM, and D3 also needs access to the DOM to do, just like you said, all of these transitions and manipulations and all of that, and like how do you reconcile them? Because like obviously if you don't do it right, like somebody's pulling the rugs out from under somebody. It's really interesting that you asked me that, because I wrote an article about it. If you care about it, there's a whole 12-minute read on using D3 with React and Flux. And it details how, because it's one of the things that we use D3 and React at work with Flux. So it kind of details the approaches that we took. And then last December, I also gave a talk about the other approaches of React and D3 that I explored. And there was 3 different approaches that I explored. So unfortunately, I can only really speak deeply to React and D3 and Backbone to D3 and Backbone and D3 to a certain extent. I can't speak as much to the other frameworks. But yes, it is definitely a problem. There have been many, many articles written about it, and I have contributed my 2. Yeah. So. Yeah. Any more questions? Great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you.